So there we are, starting the recording. Yeah, then I will just repeat. My name is Frank Emil Moen. I'm the CEO of Energy Innovation, Southwest Norway, partner in the T-Shore project. I will say a little bit about that just in a minute. And I will share a presentation now for an introduction. So we have this 1 hour webinar. This is actually the first webinar in a series of 1 webinar per month connected to the T-Shore projects and the regional COVI for offshore wind in Norway. That's part of the T-Shore projects. So every last Tuesday in the month, basically, if there isn't any specific hurdles, we will have a webinar to be run with a specific topics that is connected to training and education for offshore wind. So please feel free also to give us some feedback on topics that you want us to address through webinars like this. The webinar is run in collaboration between Energy Innovation and our other Norwegian partner, Fagskolen Rogaland, the Polytechnical College of Rogaland, County of Rogaland, and NagellD, that is the provider of the VR technology, and they will have the main presentation in this webinar. So Energy Innovation is a company that is situated in NagellD, south of Stavanger. This is our location, and what we do is, sorry, that was not the meaning. What we do is that we provide training and education basically towards the renewable sector, with the main focus on and offshore wind, but we also do some other stuff. We have some research and development projects into renewable energies, integrated energy systems, some Horizon 2020 projects connected to that, and also, as mentioned, a partner of the T-Shore projects as well for training and education. We are a North Sea Group and IKM company for the people that are familiar with these 2 companies from Norway. A short introduction video. So this is our center, and just shortly, briefly, what we have done in NagellD is that we have established NagellD Energy Hub. So it's a collaboration between several companies and also the school that provides windtech education, and the Polytechnical College of Rogaland has also entered into this collaboration, and we have some apprenticeship offices and several companies that do provide operation maintenance for the wind sector, as well as other companies that are investing in renewable energy and green technology. So it's a quite comprehensive collaboration setup, and there will be developed more buildings and more in development. This one was erected back in 2020, so it's quite new. What we provide at Energy Innovation is a broad portfolio GWO training. That's the training that is necessary to actually be able to work in a wind farm as a technician, and even towards installation at port facilities, you will need some specific GWO training, depending on the tasks that you are set to execute. We also run technical courses, basic technical training, the blade repair training, and other trainings, as well as a specific service technician education that we provide on commercial basis. We are running courses as entry-level service technicians for unemployed people that could enter into the industry directly after they are finished with the training at our sites. And we also provide a global franchising and having centers and education collaboration set up in New York, Louisiana, in Poland for now, and more is coming up through collaboration with other nations. So, and as I mentioned, the initiative what we are doing now through this webinar is connected to the T-Shore project, the technical skills for harmonized offshore renewable energies. And I know that many of the partners in the projects from the different countries are participating in this webinar. And I know that also other partners in the project are planning for having also webinars, seminars, and conferences as we are executing in Norway. So these are the partners from 5 different nations. So we have Norway, Netherlands, Belgium, and Denmark and Ireland. And each of the regions in the projects, they are set up to develop a regional COVI. It's a regional center of vocational excellence. So it's part of the Center of Vocational Excellence Erasmus Plus program for the European Commission. So it's supported by that. So in Norway, we have established this regional COVI with the goal of establishing a strong link between the business and the VET providers, the vocational education and training providers, and combining these stakeholders to meet the industry's real skills and training needs through strong collaboration with the industry partners and also the organizations that are set forward and some of the supply chain companies that provide services for training and education as well through this regional COVI. So the next slide shows a lot of logos, but basically it's the setup of the regional COVI for Norway, where we have energy innovation as the COVI leads, the Polytechnical School, Fagskolen Rogaland, in close collaboration, the T-Shore partners in the other countries, the sponsors that are basically the energy companies that are providing support for the work for T-Shore and for the regional COVI, making this happen. They also provide knowledge and, of course, with in-kind. And we have the supporting organizations that's also added to this collaboration, together with the supply chain and R&D support companies that are connected to this. And of course, we have the public education system as well as a partner for the Norwegian COVI. So that was my introduction to this, and now I will leave the podium to NagellD. And Helge, you are very welcome to share your presentation and start your presentation. And remember to take the sound bottom to share sound as well. So Helge, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Frank Emil. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us. Together with me today, I also have Robin Fossa. You may wave your arms if not everybody can see you. He will be joining us at the end of the presentation, showing the VR platform we have developed at NagellD. But I will use I will share my presentation, and I will use the first half hour just to talk generally about what we are thinking regarding VR simulations and digital twins for wind training and any kind of training, actually. And also I'll show some customer cases, what we've been actually doing. All right, hopefully you can see our logo now. We are a company situated in Bergen in Western Norway. Robin is and we also have offices in Stavanger, not far away from Frank Emil. And we also have an office where Robin is at Fagskolen in Eastern Norway. All right. I guess most of you already seen that video because Frank Emil and we used it as PR for this webinar. This is me, not in a wind turbine, I'm afraid, not yet at least. But when we are working on simulators, we try to visit the places and actually do what we are simulating, so that we actually know that our simulators are correct. So I guess, Frank Emil, I have to climb your tower somewhere soon now. Yeah, so that means that we are not just sitting behind our screens and thinking that this was probably good. We are testing it. We're testing it in real to see if it's okay. So, and this is, as many of you can see, out in the fish cage. Why us? Why NagellD? Back in 2018, we were invited by HP to Barcelona to talk about virtual reality in the blue industries, basically anything that has to do with ocean. And I asked the CEO of HP Europe why he chose a company. We were 4 people then, together with other small companies, as you can see. And he said, well, you're the only one we found that actually been making several simulations in VR regarding blue industries. And this was before wind. Wind is recent years, 2-3 last years. But this is when we kind of started and found that, okay, so this is actually not many doing this. Maybe we should do more of it. The company itself is from 2011. Personally, I've been doing digital 3D models since 1987. So I've been into this for some time. I was also working with VR in the 90s. It closed down kind of by itself because it was too expensive and extremely bad. Most people got very sick after trying VR. Okay, I'm talking about VR. We're talking about metaverse. We're talking about digital twin and AR and MR and XR. I'm not quite sure if all of you are familiar with this, so I'll use 2 minutes just explaining the different things we are talking about. Metaverse, as a new hype word, and it actually just means a virtual space where users can interact with computer-generated environment and other users. That's metaverse. It's nothing worse than that. And a digital twin is a digital representation of a real-world entity, like a wind turbine or a ship, combining 3D models and real-world sensor data. And that could be real-time data, or it could be historical data, or it could be predicted data from AI. And then we have VR, which is the one XR thing we're going to talk about most today. Means virtual reality. And that means that we'll take you into a virtual world. You're leaving your office space or wherever you are, and you're into a virtual world where you can then interact with other people. So everything else disappears. AR and MR, that is where you are connecting the real world with 3D objects in different ways. So the reason why we are using VR is because we want to take people completely away from their environment into a new environment. AR and MR You're still in your office space, but you have 3D objects in your office space. And then you see that I have put a large XR all over those three. XR is just expression from all of them. It means extended reality. So when people say XR, they mean any or all of those three. All right, so that was the classroom for today. Let's see what we can use this for. This is NRK. This is a Norwegian news a TV channel with the news, because we are making metaverse simulators not only for grown-ups but also for children. So this is, as you can see, made for children. It's a fire extinguisher simulator. And why? Because, I mean, why can't they just fire up a fire and actually do the extinguishing? Yes, they also do that. But before they do that, in real life, they would like to train the kids so they actually do it right the first time. That's why they built this VR simulator. And then the thing we are asked the most, that is about what kind of VR set should I buy? Do I need a computer? What kind of computer? Are all the simulators VR based? Can I use my phone for something? Can I use pads? If I change my VR set, am I in trouble? The answer is right on screen, technically independent. That means, of course, if we make something for VR, you need a VR set. If you make something for a mobile phone, you need something that can run like a mobile phone. But you don't need a Samsung phone or an iPhone or Nokia. You don't need a metaverse, a MetaQuest 3 set, or a MetaQuest 2 set, or a Hopper Reverb 2 set, or whatever. You can use whatever VR sets you have. So that means that when we are making metaverse training simulators, we are using one or more of these visual technologies. You might recognize, of course, the portable computer, and then I put in a MetaQuest VR set, which are working without the cable. And then you had on the other side, right side, you have the Hopper Reverb 2 set, working the cable together with the computer. And in the middle, I put a pad and a phone. And we also make training simulators that are combining these. So you can do something maybe on your phone, and the rest maybe requires a VR set. But the most important thing is what kind of VR set you have is not important. What kind of pad you have or phone you have is not important. So this is very, very, very important to us. We are using something called OpenXR when we make our content. Robin will talk a little bit about that later, I think. So, but this is the thing. That means that you don't have to worry when you buy content, VR content, if you need to actually change your technology after a while. This is important. That was also important is that you can of course buy this in your local computer shop. It's not particular. It's not special software. It's a normal computer. It's a normal VR set. It's a normal pad or a phone. But if you want to, if you're going to invest in VR sets and you're wondering what kind of computer, how powerful does it have to be, you can of course make contact to us in NagellD, and we will tell you what you need to look for. All right. Why VR training? I will go through these different points here now. That's the reason why we're doing this. But before that, Frank Emil, he said, "Okay, Helge, do you have something else than yourselves telling why VR?" So we were looking up some reports, and we found a PwC report. I will show it, some part of it, just afterwards. But of course, we have been working with VR training since, yeah, I don't know, 8 years now, 9 years maybe. So we found that we're actually one of the companies in at least Scandinavia that has done this for the longest time. We didn't know. We just found out. We were on a VR forum, and people were saying, "Oh, you're doing this that long, really?" So we've actually been doing this. One of the So we do know a lot of VR training, and what works and what does not work. But okay, let's see the benefits. And PwC, they compared VR with e-learning and classroom learning. And you should complete some kind of training course that they put together. I put the link there, so if you want it, I can also send it to you. And I don't know if I don't think you mentioned it, but afterwards you can also get a PDF of this presentation, so you can find a link there if you want to read it more. But it shows that VR is the most efficient. And again, this is a US study. So okay, it's what it is. But we also found that people that are working in VR are much more efficient in VR than in other, if it's e-learning or if they're working on a screen. And why? It's because it's so focused. When you are in VR, you are in VR. You're nowhere else. Nobody else is interfering. Nobody else is doing anything with your head. Only the VR presentation. So the same PwC found that it was 4 times faster to train than the classroom, and so on. So you can read this if you want later on. But everybody that has made studies on this shows that VR is good. And then, of course, why don't we just use VR for everything? Why don't we just be in VR? The guys, the ones of you that have tried VR knows that it's quite straining to be in VR because you are so extremely focused. That means that VR training 8 hours a day is not something everybody should do, at least not yet. What we have found is that people completely lose their sense of time in VR. They have no idea if they've been in for 5 minutes or 30 minutes because it's so focused. And some people, of course, they don't manage to do VR. Their head or body just refuses, so they get sick. Very, very few people, but some people we have been contacting us. They say that they can't do it. It's very few, and of course the quality of the VR presentations are getting better and better and better. So that means that it will be more and more like the real world. But of course, when you are jumping around in a man overboard boat, but your body is sitting in a chair, and your head is jumping around in a man overboard boat, of course, not everybody likes that. And then the question they had, PwC, they asked US companies, 1,004 companies, as you can see, what are your thoughts about VR, using VR for training? And this is 2 years, 1.5 years ago, July 2022. And quite a few are integrating it into their strategy. And we are also, the last, at least 1 year, maybe 1.5 years, we now actually meet customers that say, yeah, we have a VR room, or we have VR sets, we have tested it, we are working on it, we're trying to integrate it into our workflow. So more and more people are actually looking into VR. And regretfully, I must say also that some people say that no VR, no, that's not for us. And then I say, why not? And they say, well, we tested so and it didn't work. And that means that it's very, very important that we have VR platforms and VR software, and we have content that are useful. All right. This is not for everyone. Not everybody likes think of snow that's a peaceful place, but I'm a Norwegian, so I do. Physical localization during training. One of the first sims we made for a company that's they're worldwide. They have 12 companies or subsidiaries worldwide. And they wanted to stop sending their experts around the world. They said, can our experts be in Norway, or can it be in Netherlands? But can some of the pupils or the students or attendees, can they be somewhere else? So then we started to make and to look at VR simulators where you don't have to be physically together. So that means that you can actually do training without being in the same room or the same country for that case. And we have tested this. We tested this, I would not say throughout Europe, but I have a case where we tested from Spain to Norway. And what happened then? But this is important. You don't have to move. You don't have to localize physically. You of course need to have the right gear to do this, but it's much easier to send gear maybe than people, especially if you're not allowed to move like during COVID. So this is also very important. You don't have to be together physically to actually get a full training out of it. Yeah, I'm talking about multi-user all the time. All the sims we're making now are multi-user sims. Doesn't have to be. It can of course be a single user that wants to train by itself, but we still make it a multi-user, so it's possible. And reason why should you be several users is because you want to interact. One of them is maybe the expert, or two of them are the experts, and 10 other people are learning. And of course, again, why is VR good? Because in VR you can actually be in the shop or on the top of the wind turbine and actually do a job the way you should do it. You have to use the tools you are supposed to use. You have to use the tools the correct way. That means that your training is not, it is kind of a theoretical training but you're doing the job. So you are actually recognizing the tools, you're recognizing the parts you're going to use, you're recognizing the place the parts are supposed to be. So it's quite close to the real training. Here is a small film showing what can happen if you join our man overboard VR. That was what I was saying, and not everybody likes this because your head is jumping around in 30 knots and your body is sitting still in the chair. One of the first persons trying this out was the sea captain and his crew. And the sea captain, he said, come on, this is not waves, put on some real waves. And he was the first one that got sick, so he had to quit the course. And the rest of the crew found that immensely laughingly. So yeah, then again, not for everyone. I have now, I'm going to show you a few different ways or places to use this training, and I'm going to talk about that. But I have these small icons, what you call them, that will follow us through the rest of the presentation. That means when we made this presentation, what it's made for. So this one is actually made for a computer with screen. Could be, of course, portable. This was not actually made for VR. But because Robin, he wants everything to be in VR, so we always make a VR version of things, even if you're going to use it for a plain screen. So this is screenshots taken from the VR. It's a company called Uptime International. They're delivering gangways for wind turbines, and they wanted us to make a simulator where they are training on this using this gangway, and to get a certificate using this gangway. And I've written test costly training operations, because we never mean that you should stop train physically. Of course not. But what you actually can do in VR is not just that you can train on the training, but you can also test how you want that the virtual training or the real training should be. You can test if the training is good or not before you actually do the training, the physical training. So you can make things that are supposed to be physical courses, you make them first in VR and check, do they seem okay? Are they okay? Are they good? And then you actually make the physical course. So you can use VR to train for training. And training in possible places, put it in brackets, of course, because we're supposed to go up there. But that means that even if you're not skilled, you can train on the place you're actually supposed to be. As you can see, it's the top of it's a wind turbine. And you can be training on the turbine. You can training on the actual turbine you are supposed to visit, or you can train on a generic one, depending on what 3D models you have. But you can train where you usually don't want to send people that are not trained. So VR is a nice place to train when you're not trained to train. And of course, one of the largest, the biggest reason to use metaverse is to train communication skills as a crew. Most customers that we talk to that buy simulators from us, I said, what is the largest problem of your training? And they say, the largest problem is that we're using too much time on training people to communicate. They don't know how to communicate, what you're going to say to each other, and what it actually means. So training communication is a perfect thing to do in VR. And when you actually are communicating and things are functioning, then you can start on the real training. This is a screenshot from our man overboard simulator. And the most important thing there before you train in real is that communication is functioning. Because of course, training in 30, 40 knots in a boat is a dangerous environment to train. Same as a wind turbine. And of course, test dangerous training operations. And to be on top of a wind turbine is dangerous enough. Subsea is also a very dangerous environment. So to train or plan training that's supposed to happen subsea, VR is of course perfect for this. We also have some customers that are scanning the seabed, so they're using VR to test how to do operations subsea. Doesn't necessarily have to be training; it could be anything else. But they also, of course, then implement the training with this because they already have the environment. So test dangerous training operations is perfect for. So we have a few different, especially in, as you can see, fish and aquaculture. And then I have some use cases, and the first one is how does it feel to collaborate on a 130,000-ton product tanker from a hotel room Wi-Fi in Barcelona? So I was in Barcelona doing this, and Robin, which you will meet in a couple of minutes, he was on the other end. I was bringing a MetaQuest 2 set, no computer or anything, only the set. We have the entire simulator within that set, connecting to Robin, and it functioned flawlessly. There's no lag at all. So we were really happy that this was really working, even from a kind of, I wouldn't say bad Wi-Fi, but it was a hotel Wi-Fi. You never know, and it was working really good. So that means that even if you are on different countries, far away, as long as the net is okay. And I will say that this simulation actually works if you have an okay 4G on your mobile phone. It doesn't need more than that. This is an FPSO, oil production facility. It's an XR simulator because it's made for, they're using it for everything, this customer. They have it on their mobile phone for sales and marketing, and on their iPads for training, and they have it in VR, both cable and Wi-Fi, depending on where they are. And they have courses on it, and they have HSC courses on FPSO on all their equipment. So they are really getting the most out of this simulator. And this is the motorboat simulator I was talking about. I'm just showing another picture of it. And the reason why they do this is for communication, and also, of course, for training how to actually find people at sea. So in this simulator, you can place people in the sea, and you'll have to find it. And you have the operator of the course. He can check at all times what everybody is doing, what you're looking at, and where the boat is sailing, and he can change the weather and so forth. So here you can see the instructions view in the same. That is run by a pad or a phone. Digital twins. I haven't talked about that yet. We are making quite a few digital twins. I'll just take one today, and this is because this is the most extreme one we have done so far. As you can see, it's a lot of fish, and you can barely see the fish cage. The digital twin here is the actual fish. All the different fish are one digital twin. I don't know how familiar you are with aquaculture, but in a fish cage, it's typically between 50,000 and 200,000 specimens of fish. And this digital twin keeps track of all of them. Not in real time. It takes 2 seconds. Every 2 seconds, they read the entire fish cage, and they know where all the fish are and what they are kind of doing, and where they have been. So you can run it historically, or you can run what they're doing actually now. So when you're feeding the fish, you can actually know exactly where the fish are and if they're eating. So that means it's kind of like, if you know Excel, it's kind of like that you get a new Excel sheet every 2 seconds containing 200,000 lines of information. And then they came to us and said, we have an Excel sheet with 200,000 lines every 2 seconds. How can we use this? So we made a simulation or a visual representation of those fish, where you actually can be in the cage real time if you want to. That's made both for web and for VR. So that's the most extreme digital twin we have done so far. All right. Then we have the gangway certification simulator. I talked about that already, so I'm not going to repeat that. And now I see that we are getting closer to I used my time here. One of the things we would like to do is we make all the things I've shown you for now is specially made VR simulators that are using physical data, that are using real-time data, and people are coming to us and saying, we have upgraded our 3D models, we have done some changes, we want to add something, can we do this ourselves? And for up to 2 years ago, the answer was no, because everything was specially made. But so many people start asking us, they said, can't you check for us? Isn't there any software where you can start making a VR presentation and we can do the rest? So we looked. We didn't find anything. We found quite a few, but nobody doing exactly what our customer was asking for. So we actually made our own. So we made our own platform where you import your 3D model and you're in VR and you're collaborating with other people in VR. And you can be in both in VR and on flat screen at the same time. So it's be kind of advanced teams. Robin will show you in just a few minutes. Yeah, and you see we have, to use Spawn, you need to connect to a computer. And the reason for this, for now at least, is because most people have quite large 3D models and they need an okay computer to actually manage to process it. The VR sets itself are not good enough to process this data. But of course, things are happening, technology are moving forward, so maybe in a year or 2 or 3, who knows, maybe you just need a VR set to do it all. All right, Arno, Robin, are you ready to show something?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so
yeah, thank you. So we developed Spawn. I'll share my screen to be able to import models, so people can import models themselves. The process is quite easy, and we support quite a lot of formats. At the moment, you just open the importer. We support FBX, OBJ, and we also support point cloud data and IFC. And we developed our own file format, so you can properly get all the textures and everything baked into like a proper model, which loads faster than the default ones. But for this one, I'm just going to import a wind generator to show you guys. I see I already imported it, so I'm just going to open it up. So this is the interface of the program. I'm not going to go through all of this, but it's quite. We have quite a lot of features in this, so you can, of course, import your models. You can. This is like a big model with lots of sub objects. So for this instance, we can like hide some of these, and we can see the inside, for example, like this. So this is the model Helge showed earlier as well in the video. And you can also texture these, unless you have them textured properly. You can apply some basic materials, for example, or you could even use our built-in material library to add some basic materials. You can also make your own. This is, of course, based on, or they require UV coordinates, if that makes any sense to any of you, to be shown properly. So some of these models are not going to be properly shown because they are missing some UVs like this. In this editor, we can like preview how this is going to look in VR or flat screen. So we have a skybox. We can also import like a sea environment. See, the plane is on top of the sea now. So if we move, so we can see the sea environment. We can also adjust the wave size. And if we want different weather, we can adjust that too. So without talking too much about this, I'm just going to show you how this works in VR. I have made a scene set up so we can, well, before you can enter a scene in VR, you need to put in a spawn point and some other elements, for example, lights, which I've already done. So I can head over to this, to the room list. I'm just going to get my two colleagues to come in now. And they can join us.
This is a list of predefined rooms, so you can have as many rooms as you want, and that means you open up the room you want to meet, or you have decided that the other colleagues are supposed to be at all. That means you can have a lot of courses lying around and just opening the ones you want people to collaborate in.
So I can choose to enter in VR or non-VR. So I have my VR set connected, so I can join in VR. So, and I can see there's 2 people in this scene already, which are my 2 colleagues, or at least one of them. Thomas is in. So I'll try to keep my head steady. So this is one of the scenes. And you can see that's my colleague, Marco. Hello, Marco. In this scene, we can, of course, walk around wherever we want to. We also included recently a fly mode, which lets you just fly where you want. So you don't have to be, you don't have to teleport to any places. So you can see Thomas is inside this model. So I can try to open up the hatch quickly. Let's see if we can do it. Open hatch. You see that we open the hatch, and I can enter and see if I can find Thomas in there. There he is. Seems to be inspecting the floor. So this is one, just a segment of a windmill we imported. And we also have the other scene I showed you earlier. So we can jump into that one. If you guys want to meet me in the other scene. So we can go back to the room list. We can open the other scene or join the other scene. So this is another scene we prepared. Adjusted the weather a bit, so it's raining. And you can see I have 3 cameras, or three screens, which are represented in the real world, and they represent cameras which are placed in this environment. So if I enable fly mode again, I can see this is one of the cameras. So you can set up like live video of people or equipment in this room. So if anybody of my colleagues move into place, you see there's somebody moving the camera about. Thomas is moving the camera in this scene, and Marco is showing us the other camera. And you can see there's a view from the top as well. So if we fly to the top, we can see Thomas is already in here. And I made this part transparent so you can view the inside of this turbine. And this, of course, my colleagues don't have the mic enabled now, but they can hear everything we're saying. And the communication works flawlessly. Yeah. And of course, you can do a lot of the same stuff you can do in VR. In the editor, you can do in VR, but you can also, for example, grab a camera. This is me. We can also see if I can do this quickly. You can just move it about. So I've twisted it, and you can see, for example, if there's something you want to comment on this object, you can grab an image and you can draw on it. Well, my drawing skills are not that good, so we can see this is an error or something, and then we can add this to the cloud. We have our own cloud, and then we can go down again. It's a big screen we can show stuff on. See,
these screens you can move around like you want, right?
Yeah. Then we can see this big screen where you can pull up documents, or you can collaborate on a sketch, for example, or you can view screenshots or videos grabbed in this software. And you can see there's one screenshot grabbed by me, and this is the screenshot from above. You can also record video and all of that stuff. When you are finished with the meeting, if you exit the you can see on my screen, there is. You can generate a PDF documentation from the meeting in VR. So it's going to grab all the images you created, videos, and who was attending the meeting and what has been done and moved around or, yeah, mentioned. So that's about it. That's a quick introduction to Spawn.
Right. Thank you, Robin. I see that we actually have quite some time for questions. Is anybody wants to ask Robin something? Please do. If not, we might have something else you want to ask about regarding metaverse simulators. And yeah, I will add one thing before, and that is, why are we making the simulators like this? Why don't we make large simulator rooms or towers or whatever? And the answer is quite easy, because we don't have to. You can do anything in VR. Anything you want to press, any buttons you have, any gauges you have, whatever, anything can be put into VR. And of course, that also means that you can change between wind turbines in just a few minutes. So you can actually train on many different scenarios very fast. And you can also add and delete stuff and work with that. Right, and then I will shut up. Anybody else want to say something? Please.
Yeah, I raised my hand. Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation from both of you. And I have some questions. I could start with the last part that we saw, the tool that you have developed. And if a college or a school want to actually enter into this and use it, like the teachers as an example, or even the students themselves, that they get access to the program. What is the skills needed actually to, and what is the accessibility to the tools that is, for example, the wind turbine that you showed, and so could you explain that a little bit? Is it quite easy to use?
I guess, Robin, maybe you can say a few words on that, or?
Well, yeah, it's made fairly easy to use now. We try to keep it as easy to use so people without experience can quickly get into it. Of course, there's no limit to the complexity if you want to do more than the basics. Importing models is fairly easy. Applying materials, simple animations, stuff like that is really easy. We also,
yeah, we can say a little bit where do we get models, because we don't necessarily need to model everything. You have model bases online where you can buy models. Can you say a little bit about that, Robin?
Yeah. There's a couple of places where you can buy pre-made models like TurboSquid, and there's a lot of CAD models out there which are free to use as well. So you can download a CAD model, and then some of them you might need to process a bit on your own, but most of them work quite well in Spawn, unless they have double faces and flip normals and a lot of technical stuff.
If they're badly made, you will show it really well in VR.
Yeah, very good. My thinking is that it's for sure a very interesting tool and motivation for students to actually enter into this world and be able to play with it and learn in parallel. For example, setting up a task where they are going to build the drive chain of a wind turbine and use the tools that are accessible and actually to name them and maybe even make questionnaires for other students, etc. So it's a great possibility for different setups as I see it.
Yeah, it's like Robin showed us this large. Well, it was a black screen. The screen that's in VR. What you can do with that screen, and the reason why we put it there, is not just because you can look at your own selfies that you can do in VR. You can import both films and pictures and text from the outside. So that means that you can connect, and you can actually use films you already made, or pictures, or technical drawings, and you can get it into VR, and then start using it. Yes, Thomas.
Guys, thanks for the presentation. Excellent technology. I'm interested to ask about the possibility of kind of blending in some physical controls. So for example, you showed an FRC craft. Have you any experience with adding in a physical console alongside the 3D simulation? Is that something that you've looked into?
Yeah, we have looked into that, and that is definitely something possible. Like in the, if I understand you correctly, like in the fire simulator Helge showed in image.
Yeah, exactly. The extinguisher is a good example. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the controller was just mounted on top of the hose, so we can track that one. But you can also make a digital representation of a large remote where you can pull handles, so you can display when you move the handle in the real world. You would see that in the virtual world as well. So that's not a problem.
Okay.
Okay, answer, Thomas, or?
No, that's it. Yeah, that's what I was curious about. So yeah, great. That's exactly what I was wondering, if that's something that can be blended into the simulation with physical and virtual.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we are. It's 14:58. I'm very happy that so many was able to participate in this webinar, and it's we are participants from both sides of the even Pacific and Atlantic and Europe. So there are participants from 13 different nations, and so for sure this is an interesting topic to discuss. What we discussed up front of this webinar with Helge and Robin was that maybe especially the technology part of the spawn and the understanding of how we could use this tool to actually develop material yourself could be a very good topic for actually a seminar, a web seminar training session for the people that are interested to learn more about this. So we will invite all of you that are participants here, and also through the regional COVI and the T-Shore project to be invited to a seminar where we actually look and try out the tools that have been presented. And just to mention one more thing is that we have started a collaboration between Energy Innovation and Mintra, and I think Mintra is also participating here, to develop an introduction course for offshore wind, the full supply chain, to be presented as a global program, where we also, of course, will use the material, the 3D material, the VR material, as part of the course material as well, to get as good as possible for a course like an introduction course like this. So okay, I think that's good for now, and we will keep you posted. You will get the PDF in an email, and it's also possible to get the recording as well if that is of interest. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.